This podcast is brought to you by A1 Roofing, where excellence rises to the top.
Wow, we did it.
Yeah, finally.
How long have we been trying to get together?
Years. I was
Almost as long as you've been playing.
I was looking at the texts from the old text.
Thank you.
On the way here. Yeah, it's been some years.
I so appreciate you being here, and I think you'll find you'll have a good time while we talk. And welcome to the space for sure.
Yeah, man, it's good to be here.
Yeah, excellent. The boys are on the road, I heard.
Yeah, Matt's on the road. Jordan's out in the city, so playing gigs.
Yeah, and that's just what you do.
That is what we do.
Yeah, so we were laughing before. We were talking about how I first met you or met the band. And it was a long time ago. I feel like it was 11 years ago.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's a little something called Jazz on the Vine or Winterfest, which is now defunct as a event, but we have the spirit of being out east on the North and South Forks during the winter for sure. But what was the name of the band back then?
Michael Jazz Trio. And I guess technically it's still the name of the band. But that's what, I mean, MJT is, we shortened it up when we stopped playing so much jazz. I mean, the jazz element's still there, you know, but
yeah,
we didn't want to confuse people when we started playing more rock-centered music.
Well, again, at that point, you were doing a jazz event, so
Yeah.
that made sense.
Well, we were a fully jazz band. I played saxophone.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, mostly. I played mostly saxophone at the time, and I was playing bass, but I wasn't really playing guitar yet. Not so much, I don't think. And I definitely wasn't singing. So it was a completely different experience.
So you're telling me you didn't touch the guitar to 10 years ago?
I started playing the guitar, but I was playing at home, you know, but I didn't start playing the guitar at gigs until probably about then. Like, I want to say I was 15 when I started playing guitar, really. Mm-hmm. And then I was like 17 when I was like really playing them at gigs. Right. So yeah, about 10, 11 years ago.
So I remember my assignment that day was to document the Jazz Fest and film, and so
I wish they were still doing that.
I wish they were doing it too. Diane and I, Diane Tucci,
yeah.
Great lover of music, great friend, tried to carry it on, but it needs funding to do it right.
Sure.
And New York State funding ran out. But I just remember being so impressed. Those that know me know my grandfather was a very big jazz saxophonist, classical saxophonist, so I understood what you were putting across right away and completely appreciated that. And through the years, just following you guys and being a fan, I'd love to hear. It's so important that I understand how your family, your three brothers, together became musical. Well, who was musical in your family? And if you tell me no one, then it's going to impress me more.
Well, we had an uncle that played like organ in church, but not anything crazy. You know, my grandfather was a bishop, so like the whole family was kind of like people sang and stuff, but nobody was like a musician, like actually, like that's what they did for a living or anything like that, you know.
Right.
But we kind of always the three of us kind of just always into it, even before Jordan was born. Like me and Matthew, there's photos. We were big fans of Yanni as like small children. There's pictures of me 2 years old, him 4 years old, where we're like have our T-shirts on our head, like.
Wow.
And we got long hair like Yanni, just watching him at the Acropolis and him at the Taj Mahal and stuff, you know.
So that's really young. And then your first, I guess you start getting it. You can get interested in music 5, 6 years old. I remember being in the backseat of my mom's car and listening to Motown. Yeah. So that's definitely something. You can get that early.
100%. That's Jordan started playing drums 5 years old, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Pretty sure he was like five or six, yeah.
So then what becomes your influences early on, like pre-10 years old, 10, 12 years old?
Yanni was pretty much the soul thing, you know. I mean, we listened to a lot of different stuff. I mean, joining like jazz band and stuff like that. But I guess you said before 10, I don't know. Like when we always listened to Yanni, we watched a lot of movies. The older I get, the more I realize how much music, like the Rocky soundtracks.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like how much musical inspiration I've gotten from movies that we've watched. You know what I mean? We'll just listen to soundtracks.
You know, that's really cool because a lot of people that I interview that are musicians, I say to them, if, making it, quote, is the conventional way is becoming different, I'll call it.
It's a whole different game.
It's a whole different game. You know that story. So now you do have this channel. Even you and I know when we post in social media, we can pick. Actually, I've posted pictures of you guys and used your music that I can pick off social media, and that would be the case of just about any kind of music. So there's probably dribs and drabs of pay on that at some point. I get that, but where I'm going is video is everything. So why not match music to video, especially your music that tells a story even without words. Even that's what always attracted me to you guys as you're going. You know, one of the songs, Here We Go, even, you know, just the beginning of that song is so iconic. It just brings you to another place.
Sure, man. Yeah.
It tells a story. And so it's interesting that you did pick that song for a video.
No.
Because maybe it paints a picture for you. Was there any reason why you selected that? Was that your first like commercially produced video?
That was, yeah.
That's what I thought.
That was our first. I mean, we've been trying to make a music video for way too long. And just always we always, like, there's some that we actually filmed and just never manifested into something that was actually out. But yeah, this was our first one to come out, and that song we chose just because, like, yeah, I suppose it's the most, it tells the biggest story, I suppose, like from start to finish, not just lyrically, but sonically.
100%.
But it also was like there was ideas that I had that I wanted to, because we released the song 2 years ago, and this video just came out last month.
That's right,
I believe. So it was really more so we wanted to do something to tie together these two parts, because like the EP Mr. No One Part 1, that EP is we wrote all the music at the same time for this next project we're about to release. All the music got recorded and written and recorded at the same time. So I wrote it as a concept album lyrically. So visually, I wanted to do something that kind of bridged that gap, even though the first part came out 2 years ago. That video is kind of was doing that a little bit.
As we look on the screen here, we'll play a little bit about this because, first of all, as a New Yorker, you know, I just saw this yesterday, man. The last exit before New York City. All right, let's play a little of this. All the places we love and know.
Hey, you know, it's like
we could talk through this actually.
What's funny is like the hot dog cart, when he first got edited, it wasn't long enough for Jordan. He was like, we need a longer clip of that hot dog cart. Because he really wanted to get like the real New York.
That's incredible.
So that TV we actually got from the Bitter End, the owner of the Bitter End. It was in his office for years and years, and Jordan used to set up a lot of stuff on stage when we play. And one day we were playing the Bitter End, he was like, I got something you can add to your stage setup. So that's the TV.
Story within a story.
Yeah,
This has already become iconic. You know, the
Baldwin in the background.
Yeah, but the American flag, the way he's wearing that?
Yeah.
It's amazing. So this was shot in the summer? Summer of 24? Okay.
This September, yeah. This past September.
Who writes a song like this? Collectively, you all do?
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, the way we write is like, a lot of stuff comes from just different jams or something like that. And then, you know, one of us will whittle away at it. You know, I'll write lyrics to it and whittle away at certain, certain progressions or whatever, trying to find the right stuff. But the end of this song is an idea. It takes you to such a different place. That is an idea from such a different place, and somehow it just came together, you know. But I think Matt came up with that at the end there.
So cool. Where were the steps you were sitting on?
That was the New York Public Library, right behind Bryant Park, or I guess Bryant Park's right behind us.
Yep. The chorus line, "Here we go." That's what does that mean? What does that mean to you in terms of writing this?
So this concept. So if you listen to the project from start to finish, there's a story being told. Mr. No One, you know, this person that is like kind of a drifter or something. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's a love story, and like the second part is like it'll tell more of this story. This is just the "Here We Go" was written as like that part in the love story where, you know, I mean, it's so, you know, here we go kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But the cool thing about the song after started writing it, it was like, I was trying to write these songs so that like if you wasn't so hip to all the conceptual stuff, you could just hear it and you could relate it to anything. You know what I mean? So that's why Here We Go definitely also could mean whatever.
It's absolutely worked that way. It's always resonated with me from the day I heard it. So who's your? Let's give a little props to your cinematographer or whoever you produce it.
Yeah, Danny Roman. He actually is a musician himself. He plays drums. We've known him for years.
Right.
But he does video, fantastic video.
Yeah.
And his video, his production company is 24 frames per second, New York.
Yep.
I think it's 24 FPS.
FPS.
New York.
Yep.
Like that's his tag on
Yep.
Instagram.
Love it.
But yeah, he does great stuff.
So now you're going to black and white here, which is probably his choice, right?
I believe so. Well, we had talked about certain things. We had worked together in terms of like the production of it and like figuring out what we're gonna do, trying to get it all charted out.
Mm-hmm.
There were certain ideas that were thrown around, but we definitely wanted him to have freedom to
Sure. As you have freedom with the music,
exactly,
freedom with
do
the
your thing.
cinematography.
Yeah.
Sure. Still the library, right? This is Midtown, Radio City.
Yeah, it was all kind of similar area, but on the bench was Lower East Side. So, well, we're away from it now, but
Oh, it's popping in from black and white.
yeah,
Okay.
that actually was Jordan's idea.
And that's cool. And the fact that he's carrying the TV kind of plays on that.
See, this is Lower East Side here.
So great.
Actually, so years ago, that bench we were sitting on, me and my friend Tyler, we had gotten halal and sat on this bench.
Beautiful.
And it was like nighttime. I was like, if we ever do a music video out here, we gotta do something here. So that's how I ended up choosing that spot.
So let me ask you this: you do that song live. It's at least twice as long, right? Definitely.
Not twice as long. I say, how long is that song? I don't know.
You
4 or 5 minutes?
No, I think it was 3.
No, that
something.
song's not 3 minutes.
No?
Maybe. Let's see.
Let's see. I'm interested because I'm saying.
I feel like it's not.
I said, have you gone commercial
Nah,
already?
it's 5 minutes.
It is 5. I apologize.
Right, we probably play it for 7 minutes, 8 minutes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But the whole end is extended, and I do take a longer solo in the actual song. But
very, very cool. Seen that at least 10 times out. That's just fantastic. Now, let's talk. The latest single, Hopeless, is this a continuation of the concept?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
When we started writing this stuff, we started recording this stuff back in 2018. And the intention was for it to come out as an album in 2020. But we all know what happened, Yep. So everything got put on the shelf, and then after that, we were like, well, why don't we just release it in 2 parts, just so that we can, so that we can take more time with this more.
Right. Plus, what you had ready could be released.
Exactly.
Because if you wait for
exactly, things could take it'd be a decade later.
Doesn't time go fast?
It does, too fast.
You just literally mentioned 5 years, and I believe that's funny. That was our last interview during the pandemic because we were. It
was right after. That's why it was
remote.
2021. Yeah, it was early 2021 or something. Yeah, I remember that. We were playing from our apartment.
100%. So the first part of it is how many songs?
The first part was out 5 or 6. I think it's 6 songs. And then the next one's about the same.
Very cool.
About the same. But Hopeless, Hopeless is that's a continuation of the story. And the story essentially being like, it's a love story that doesn't work out, essentially, you know what I mean? So it's like this Hopeless is like it's like the beginning of like it not working out.
It's not gonna work out.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So and it's like the song is like lyrically is written from a very like stuck in your own head kind of, you know what I mean? Like those lyrics are like talking to yourself,
Yep.
Yeah, that song we actually our next single is an old song that we remade that I think people are really gonna enjoy actually because it's a song people really enjoyed back we do it back when we were like 2015, 2016, 2017. We kind of leaned really heavily into like being a grunge band, like just like a high energy rock band.
Sure.
And this song is from those days, so it's like really high energy. I'm excited for that one to come out.
So when you talk about the unit of a band, right, and people see you out, they're excited. It's normally good times as it should be,
Sure.
partying, this and. Let's talk about the true wood chipping of a musician,
Sure.
or you three and your caliber. And I've seen each of you in your element. I've seen Matt at the Jazz Loft do his element.
Yeah.
Jordan is extraordinary, and you're extraordinary. Go deep with me. Tell me what that took. I mean, did you guys just like limb to limb growing up playing music? Is it truly what it's supposed to be, which is it's practice. There's no shortcut.
No, there isn't. Yeah, it is as simple as that. It's like anything. If you want to do it, let me say, it's like Jordan is. I've never seen someone as natural at anything as I've seen Jordan. And you can see that watching him play. You know what I mean? He's been good at the drums since he picked up sticks, but that doesn't mean we didn't play all the time. You know what I mean? Like, we still played all the time. When we were kids, we started the band when I was like 10, and we were playing.
You're the oldest?
I'm the middle.
You're the middle?
I'm the middle, yeah.
Okay.
Matt's the oldest.
So how old was Matt when you were 10?
12.
Okay.
And Jordan was 5. So, like, that's when we started the band, 5, 6, around then. And we were, like, on nice, like, the weather gets nice, kids are outside, we were playing, you know what I mean? We were practicing. Or we were at, busking at the 7-Eleven, you know what I mean? Like,
what town?
Central Islip.
You grew up there?
Mm-hmm.
You still there?
No, Matt is. But
Okay.
I'm in Wisconsin these days, but.
Okay.
So not too far, but.
Yep.
We lived there growing up.
So paint the picture for me. See, it's so hard for me to imagine. I have to get Jordan to at least a teenager.
Sure.
In my mind, because I'm saying this kid's coming over, right? They're coming over to your backyard or in your house, in your living room. What's like when you guys are starting out? Like, because I had the same thing where we were the only band in town, and the girls and guys, 13, 14, came over to the house.
Sure.
Describe that for me too.
Well, no, I mean we didn't play music with other kids or nothing like.
No, I meant for them. Did you have invite them over to your practices?
No, that's what I'm saying. So there literally was this beginning period where there was these other kids that we were playing music with, but they came over a handful of times. But for the most part, we were seeking out, like, we were really about putting ourselves into adult zones and learning from adults. So we were the people. My friends, when I was a teenager,
They were doing baseball or doing other shit?
no, they were adults. They were, you know what I mean? Like we were playing jazz and we were doing all this stuff, playing all these gigs. Like, and the people that I knew that I talked to, especially we started getting homeschooled.
Yeah.
When I was in all through high school, so all 4 years of high school, I got homeschooled, and but that was the reason when we started getting homeschooled, because we got so busy, playing music. But that meant like I literally wasn't around people my age at all.
Who's your advocate at that age?
Our mother was doing it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And not really musical, but
Well, she's
your biggest advocate at that point.
she could play she has a great mind for music.
Yeah,
you know
gotcha.
what I mean. So,
Yeah,
but
not necessarily writing whole songs. Or
yeah,
anything like that.
it's not a career or nothing.
Yeah.
But
But she's advocating for you.
Yeah.
'Cause, right? There's got to be somebody at the center of your lives that goes,
Yeah,
hey,
100%.
keep it up. Keep
Yeah.
it up. Just
well,
keep
the
it up.
cool thing she did was like, it was like, you could be, the thing is you could be whatever you want to be, within reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't be if you wanted to be a 7'8" giant playing NBA basketball and at 22 years old you're 6'1", that's not real,
Right.
But within reason, you could do whatever you want.
Right.
But her thing was like, if you work hard towards it. So it's like, whenever we'd be like, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that, her response would be like, well, it's because you're not doing enough to do it, So it's like, and then often she would ask, like, if we're slacking. She's like, well, do you want to do this or not? Like, if we're not gonna,
that's
if you don't want to do it, then we're gonna stop doing this.
That's called reverse psychology.
Yeah. Well, no, it's like, well, yeah, no, we do want to do it. It's just like, we got to stop dragging our feet. So work ethic comes from that too, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So do you remember your very first gig, by the way?
Yeah, I do.
Describe.
Our very first paid gig was in my grandparents' backyard. A cousin of mine paid us like, I don't know, $100 or something to just come and play like a song or two, like in their backyard for like some kind of summer thing. I don't know. But the first time me and my brothers ever played together, just the three of us, was in front of the 7-Eleven by our house. We were in this marching band, this like out of school marching band. This is where I played baritone horn, Matt played snare drum. Jordan ended up, he wasn't old enough to be in the band, but he hung out all the time. Like, he was like 5 or something, he was like 4 or 5.
Oh my God.
He hung out all the time there, and every time everybody would put down their drums, he would just start playing everybody's parts. So they were like, well, do you want to just, they gave him like these little timbales and just let him rock with them, you know?
Unbelievable.
So the first time we ever played just the three of us, we were trying to go on this trip to Wildwood, New Jersey for a marching band competition, but we didn't have the money for the whole trip. So that was the first time we ever bust. So we were like, maybe we could raise the money by playing some of these marching band songs without the whole marching band. But, you know, since I played baritone horn and they were, you know, we had everything we needed, just the three of us. So that was the first time we literally ever played just the three of us. But the cool thing with that trip actually was we showed up to the meeting spot to go on the trip with all the other kids. All the families had raised the money for us.
Wow.
But so when we got there, they were like, just keep that money you raised, and like, here's the trip. So
that's a booster.
It was a beautiful trip. Yeah,
that keeps you going too.
Absolutely.
Is there a place in the Northeast, or you played many states? I know that you played in Nashville. I know that.
Yeah.
Is anything stand out as being like ultra rememberable to you and inspiring?
100%. Yeah, couple. We did the anniversary. Part of the reason why we wanted Radio City in that video is because we did the anniversary for Easy Rider, the 50th anniversary at Radio City.
The movie?
Yeah.
With Peter Fonda? The bike?
Yeah,
How
exactly.
the hell did you get in there? That was great.
So we were playing with this guy named Tash Neal, and he's well connected, and
yes,
we were backing him up, and
gotcha.
That's how it happened.
That's how it happened.
And we ended up playing with Roger McGuinn from the Byrds, and John Kay from Steppenwolf. That was an amazing show. But the best venue we've ever played is in Nashville.
I figured that.
The Opry.
You played the Opry?
Yeah, we played the Opry. I've never been.
You must have been shivering on a little bit, like not shivering, but
no, not really. Honestly, like we're people that like we're just like, well, like we were talking about before. It's like you work so hard towards something. It's like I just like I like the moments. Like I like being there. It's like. It's not nerves as much as it's just like I'm ready for this. You know what I mean? Like I want to be here. This is what I actually want to do.
This is what I aspire to be.
Yeah.
And what I aspire to do.
I never been somewhere though. The reason why I love the Opry is because I had never been somewhere where just the level of confidence was so high. Yeah. Everyone that did anything in that building was just operating at the highest possible level.
Yeah.
And the room sounded incredible. Like it was a fantastic show.
So you've done, by the way, to let our audience know, you've done the Great South Bay Music Festival, which is one of the larger festivals, if not the largest music festival on Long Island.
I think it is the biggest one.
I think it's the biggest one in Long Island anyway. So I think you were there in 2022, as I remember.
23.
23.
And last year, 24.
Yep. Locally, since we're in Port Jeff right now, you do the brewery. You did my festival. You did Port Palooza. Yep. That was fantastic. That whole day was great. It was good times. So you're about to go on like a little mini tour live. Yeah. I noticed, and one of the places you're going to where I went to school, so we got to shout it out. Oneonta, the Black Oak Tavern.
Yeah.
It's about a 50-year-old bar. The owner of that place owned it for like 35, 36. He just sold.
Yeah.
But it's a fun little place, right? You've
been
there before?
Yeah. We played there once before. Back in November, we played there. It's a fun spot. A lot of. It's always nice playing. Excuse me. It's nice playing spots up there because it seems everybody's always engaged in the music.
Yep.
Which you might not get so much down here.
Right.
People, just randomly, it's like people that don't know you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
they're like they want to hear interesting music. They want to hear things that are, you know, that are not just what they're used to. You know what I mean? Here, sometimes you can get a little bit of the thing where, like, you know,
I went out to do this, and you know, music can sometimes be background to them. because they're not really into it.
100%.
But for the most part, I think we could both say Long Island does have a very rich background of music.
Oh, 100%. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying, because there is so much music here, you know. And I've, you know, we're born and raised here, so it's like I have been so influenced by the musicians that we've come up under here.
No doubt.
You know, like first time I ever went to certain places that became super influential to me musically, we were literally picked up by friends like that were older than us. Like you saw us playing music young. This is where you need to go to see where all the real musicians are at. You know, here or there. You know, that's why like sometimes, and I do think it's a bit different these days than it was when I was young or younger. You know, I'm still young. Yeah.
Yes, you are. In what way? You mean the industry?
Yeah. There was more when I was like a teenager and like in my early 20s. It was there was more of a community, like in terms of, I guess more so when I'm talking about original music and all that, and like improvisational music. There was more places to play. There was more jams. There was just more things. Now it's not there so much, or maybe I'm just out of the loop. You know, I could just be out of the loop. You know?
I think one of the things that's true about Long Island, and not that just an excuse, it's so expensive to live here.
It is. It is ridiculous.
That it's out of control.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, except for the very few people that are doing very, very well, I think everybody can speak the same. It's a week-to-week world.
Yeah.
And so what you have is you have people that normally would be a little bit more recreational.
Yeah.
Grinding it, and then on the other side of things, you probably could laugh when I say this, but wedding bands that do make $7-8 grand.
Yeah.
So it's like it's that, or it's nothing, or you know, and
100%.
in between's a little bit of a struggle. That being said, you know what it takes. I just mentioned this band High Fade to you.
Yeah.
You're gonna love them when you go home and listen to them. And the busking they did for 4 or 5 years in Scotland, they came over here and sold out every show. Now, listen, I don't know how big those venues were, but if you sell at every show and your manager's not ripping you off and you're getting 25 to 30, you're going to make money, and that's great.
You know, you'd be surprised.
Maybe I would be surprised.
You'd be surprised how expensive touring is.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like how much money you're actually not making because there's so many things to pay for. So, but I don't know how much money they're making. You know what I mean?
No, but I think it's probably
on tours we've been on. Like we toured with Alter Bridge a couple of years ago, and we did like I think it was like 8 shows with them. Instead of Seven Dust and Alter Bridge, we opened up for them, and like it was incredible to realize how much money it just took just to get from place to place. You know what I mean? Stay place to place. You know.
Yeah, I'm told it takes up 80% of revenues to do this.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So then you go into this thing, and I noted you have what seems like a good manager working for you. I see that, there's now a complete website. It looks very complete, very well organized. And then I see this beautiful word here, which I didn't even know you did. So now we're talking about merchandise, which is equally important.
Yeah, it's huge.
And point of sale is the big thing with this, right? It's one thing if somebody comes on the website, but there's nothing like someone being turned on, like we turn to you guys and go, wow, I love these guys, just buy right there. I'm glad you got the cap, because this is probably the one people just easily just grab, and that's fantastic. So I'm glad. Hey, I know that guy.
There he is, right?
That's fantastic. Oh my God! So it's very well organized. Tell me about Spotify and streaming to the extent you can. What's your feeling on that?
What do you mean in terms of like how do I feel about it in general, or how do I feel about it in regards to me?
Well, it's funny. Jordan, last time he played at the brewery, he left his album behind. It's a Jimi Hendrix album. I have it for him. I wish I would have brought it today.
Sure.
But, Jordan, I still have that for you. But my point is, Gene Simmons from Kiss said it. You had this object sold, right? And now, just people don't feel the same. So maybe you replace that with some things to make money, to generate money. And there's no time to me to do that when people are really turned on by what you did, post-show, pre-show, whatever. So my question is, what have you been told, or what did you learn about streaming as a whole? I mean, do you have to have tens of thousands of views to get somewhere?
Oh yeah, 100%. Streaming is tough, right? On a monetary level, I mean, everybody knows at this point how little money you make. 0.000 whatever of a cent. So like on a logistical monetary level, you have to get so many streams to make any kind of money. But in terms of like gaining other resources and like other like getting help from other places, if you don't have all these streams, the people don't want to, it's like, oh, well, you have to kind of do that already for people to be like, all right, now we'll help a little bit. So it's like getting to that point, it is everything. And it is, I could imagine, I mean, I wasn't around when people were really buying records like that. Like when I started listening to music myself, because we played music for a long time before I actually listened to music, like specifically. I always listened to music, but
before you went out and bought a CD.
Yeah, but we were already in that zone of FrostWire and LimeWire and pirating things.
Yeah.
So like I remember when I was like, oh, I want to get some music. I heard like the Foo Fighters. I was like, all right, this changed my life. I downloaded everything they ever did off of FrostWire. I wasn't buying CDs or anything by that point. And then at that time, you saw stores like FYE and stuff like closing. Certain ones closing around and stuff. So by the time I was into the whole thing, the industry kind of had already. So it's like, I don't know. I can't really compare, but I could imagine. I buy vinyl now. I love vinyl because of that tangible, the ritual, and then I can look at it while and there's a sonic character to it, even some people say that and they're just talking about dirty records and a bad needle, right? But if you have high fidelity stuff, there is still a certain warmness to it, I was just listening.
Lived that, I should know it.
Yeah, I was at a friend's house when we were just listening to Graceland. And it was just like
different experience.
Oh man, gorgeous,
cool,
gorgeous, But
put on like a Macintosh amplifier and
I don't even know what he had.
Diamond needles.
I don't know what he had, but it was great. It did sound great. But that I could, with all that being the case, it does seem like when you're dealing with vinyl, one album could probably be worth 1,000 streams. You know what I mean? Just in terms of the impact. Because that if you're on your phone and just, right, because then even still there's a thing of like, well, I'm listening to this song on this album. I'm not going to, I'll listen to the whole side. You know what I mean? Even if I don't want to listen to the whole album, it's like, I'll at least listen to the whole side. Whereas like on my phone, it's like, I'll just skip through 20 songs. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like shuffle, just keep skipping through song after song after song until I find one that I kind of want to listen to. I'll listen to 30 seconds of that, just end up in that kind of vibe.
I mean, that could be good too because you're getting faster to another song.
100%. Well, it's where I've benefited from that is like taste is so much broader, so much wider now because you could listen to so much. Whereas like I remember during the pandemic, there was one day I woke up and I was like, I want to listen to the traditional Japanese music, and all I had to do was type that into Spotify, and I had it, right there.
You had it for the day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like, there's pros and cons to everything,
Yep. So where I'm going is just as your career goes forward, it seems to me that you've probably relegated to yourself to say, I will always play music and always eke out a living any way I can. Do any of you have regular jobs?
Yeah, Matt does. Yeah, he works at the courthouses, and I've had regular jobs. Now all I do is play music, but I've had I've worked
during that.
But
sure.
Yeah, I've worked a bunch of places. Right. But like since I've sing, and it's like I can play solo gigs, and
gotcha.
That is, you can make some money doing that.
Yeah, you can.
You can make some money doing
funny?
that. It is. No, it is hilarious. It is really funny actually. like I'll do a 3-hour solo gig.
You make more than the whole band.
$300,
Yeah.
$400. I'm
Yeah.
like, geez.
More than the split
and then I
of the
go
band.
and really do, we play this full band whole thing, and it's like everybody gets $100. I'm like, oh man, this is crazy.
It felt good though. It felt
Yeah,
great.
yeah, exactly. Sometimes I'd rather do that,
Right. Wow, that's incredible. It seems to be the only industry that hasn't gone up in inflation. It seems to me that, like when I was in college in Oneonta, literally, I made the same per man.
$100 $100 a
And so
guy.
it never changed.
Yeah, everything got way more expensive.
Everything got-
but it's still $100 a guy.
I don't get that. I really don't get that.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. But to what you said, like, if I took it the right way, like, in terms of, like, all three of us have are interested in so many different things. Like, we've never been people that was like, we'll always be musicians and we'll always make music. But a point in life will come where it's like we want to do other things. You know what I mean? And hopefully we can be, get to a place with music where we don't have to be so, like it will give us the freedom to do some other things, hopefully. But yeah, there is a lot. We're just curious people, just in general. Music is a medium that we're just working with now. It feels like, like I'd love to make all kind of art in all kind of mediums. I love movies, I love,
I think, the first Joker movie. I don't know if you saw it.
I did, yeah.
I went kind of deep, understanding the writer of that music.
Yeah.
If you haven't, look, you can do that. You can do that for hours.
Yeah,
just on this person that was hired. Foreign name, so I can't pronounce it. But to me, that music made the movie. There's so many things about that movie that were special. Forget about the second one. We can't talk about it.
No.
But
the music in that one. Huh?
The music in the first Joker movie is off the charts good.
First Joker movie was a perfect film. It seems.
So for you guys, here we go. I'm going to say it again. I mean, before you made the video, it felt to me like when I saw you guys play that live, I already made my own video.
Sure.
which is totally a testament and compliment to your songwriting. When you can visualize any way you actually want to your song, that's just fantastic. I just feel you can't get any better than that in terms of putting across a feeling. Because at the end, as you just said, you're going to be an artist no matter what.
Yeah.
And so the music speaks no matter what. To me, and you're not putting together pieces to have it speak. It speaks naturally.
I mean, I think on that it's like it all is just like where your intention lie and how are you living. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people talk about sacrifice and all that. It's like if you're really living for something, it doesn't necessarily feel like sacrifice as much as it is just like you're living for something. But that kind of authenticity just comes from doing it. We're like you said, it's not like putting a bunch of pieces together and trying to give it meaning. It's like it just has the meaning. That meaning comes from what you live, how you live every single day. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Kind of thing. And for us, like writing wise, we're just writing. Like we don't set out to write a song that sounds like this or a song that feels like this or like it's just this is what I have to write right now. Like this is what's
emanating now.
Yeah. Exactly.
Join me in this.
Yeah, exactly. This is right now. That's why our music over the years sounds so different. We've done so many different things because like this genuinely where I'm at right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Do you find that's a great subject? I'm going to get a little deep with you. Do you find that you feel you write more meaningful music when you're in a bad or down place than you do in an up place?
I can only write about the down things after I've come up from it.
Yep.
But I have more.
Wow, that's
I have
really
more meaningful thoughts when I'm down.
Sure.
But I have to live in that and then write about it after.
Speaking about that, how much of your influence was directly blues? Like 1920s, 30s blues. Did you delve into that world at a point?
So I'm a big fan. The reason, I first picked up the guitar when I was 6, but I only played it for like a month or two. And then by the time I got back around to guitar, the reason I picked it up again was because of John Mayer. I had heard some John Mayer trio stuff and like just was like, man, this is what a guy, what a player with all his blues stuff. So through him, I kind of traced back the blues you know, roots, which is, I guess, the way you do it, because he says the same thing about Stevie Ray Vaughan. Like, he found out about Stevie Ray Vaughan, that's how he traced back to BB and all these guys. But no, I hadn't really listened to the blues. And to be honest, I don't really listen to the blues. Like, I have listened to, like, the greats, you know. But it's funny. I feel like my guitar playing, to a certain extent, can sound bluesy. But that's because of the John Mayer influence. But no, I guess to answer your question, no, really, I haven't. Okay. I don't have much of a blues.
Yeah, no,
blues thing.
Evident that I feel in your music is, you know, and definitely my love growing up was, you know, Yes, Al Di Meola,
sure, yeah,
John-Luc Ponty. So I'll ask you the progress, because you guys are technical too. That's the thing. Matt is extremely technical.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know, just such a joy. So what about the progressive act? You know, the actual.
Yeah, I mean, we were a fusion jazz band growing up. Like it wasn't so much it wasn't so much prog music. Like the progressive sound in our music comes from fusion jazz. You know, like I remember we got real hip to like Headhunters and stuff like that. You know, Herbie and all that. When we were like teenagers. So like the progressive sound comes from like us trying to play rock music and jazz music at the same time, and that just ends up being prog. Gotcha. You know what I mean?
Yep, I do.
But I haven't listened to a whole lot of prog music, to be honest.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Like I have same thing. I'll listen to like the big songs. You know what I mean? But I haven't gone deep. You know.
I think people are always surprised when a musician, especially a good musician, admits that he doesn't. I get that. I totally get that. You probably had your sound, your influence at 5, like you said, 5, 6 years old. That's all you ever needed. You know, 5, 6, 7 years old, and then from there you took off. It's not important for you to put on music and then try to copy that music. That's never where
it was. Yeah, we were never trying to sound like anybody but other than ourselves.
Right.
There's a lot of music that I've listened to. You know, it's like I do seek out music, but it's like I never. And this is for better and for worse, actually. Like, I never latched onto a sound or a genre. Which, like, a lot of people, it's like, we're a prog band, or we're a classic rock band, or we're an R&B band. Like, we never latched onto a sound. Even down to, like, my playing personally, I never latched onto a sound, which means that it can be a bit harder to get to a certain place of proficiency and stuff like that, because there's no path, there's no there's no cliches to learn, you know what I mean? There's none of those things, and you're just touching on. It's like the jack of all trades, master of none. But that phrase is longer than that. I forget the rest actually, but jack of all trades, master of none.
When you get it, let me know, because
you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
But, you know, like it says master of one. I forget it. You know, I'd have to look it up.
I never knew there was something that came after that.
Yeah.
Because I often I'll use the word accused. I'm often same thing, right? Here I am today podcasting. Sure. Next week I'll be doing something different. And sometimes it could be looked at upon, not negatively, but focus is what wins in success.
Sure.
So I know what you're saying, but I'm not at all worried about that for you guys, because it's
like
it's the potpourri that makes it.
I was gonna say, you get to a certain point where it's like, if you're not extremely focused, you will fall short if you're trying to do too many things. But it might take a little longer if you're diligent enough. You can do all these things at a really high level now, and then you end up creating something. That's where real creation's at. That's when you make something that is brand new. Right. You know what I mean? And that's what everybody's done. That's what Jimi Hendrix did, you know.
Sure.
People don't realize Jimi Hendrix was playing R&B for years and years and years and years, and all that stuff he brought to rock music is just R&B guitar players have been playing forever. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just he brought that into the psychedelic rock zone.
Turned it up to 11 on a Marshall.
Yeah, now you got something brand new. Now you got Jimi Hendrix. You know what I mean? It's just like doing things that people say you shouldn't do or something like that. You know what I mean? Doing things that I guess people just aren't doing. You know,
absolutely.
That's where you have a lot of fun.
David, we talked about John Mayer. I agree. He is just absolutely phenomenal. What he's doing with Dead & Company.
Yeah.
Next level stuff. He's so good. Who have been your influencers of guitar, particularly? that have just been, in your head from day one?
John Mayer is a huge one. I actually am more inspired by. It's weird. I've always felt like I was a guitar player even when I was playing other instruments, but it's other instrumentalists that really inspire me. But in terms of guitar players that have inspired me a lot, like Mateus Casado was a huge influence on me. Like Isaiah Sharkey is a huge influence. Back when I was younger, I had a Steve Vai period. I had a Jeff Beck period, but like I kind of bouncing around like that. But a lot of what really inspires me is like, my favorite musician of all time is John Coltrane, which is not like, that's not a unique opinion. John Coltrane is amazing, but like,
Well, if somebody puts on a John Coltrane record, because they're gonna most likely, hopefully, put on the actual record.
Sure,
cool.
yeah.
Put that album right there. Maybe a bourbon and a cigar.
Yeah.
What is it that John is putting across that you feel is so deep as a musician?
Music is like being an artist is like four different sections. It's like there's this intellectual thing you need, there's a physical thing you need, there's an emotional thing you need, there's a spiritual thing you need. And most musicians skip one or two of those things. They give you at best 3. It's very rare to find a musician that gives you all 4 of those things at a high level. And John Coltrane is one of those people.
This is like the most profound thing I've never heard that.
No, yeah, I mean it's
that is just so perfectly said, because you often say, especially with guitar players, because with YouTube today, I mean, let's be honest. I'm seeing 12 and 13-year-old people. They're ripping things,
incredible,
and they're incredible. But I'm like, how many of these people can we have in the world, right?
Yeah.
But if you hold them to the 4 that you just talked about, that's why it whittles down to the top
100%. You start seeing a big difference when, right? It's the idea of like, I know people that could play a million notes, but like if I asked you to just play one note and make it mean something, you couldn't. And I know people that could play one note and it mean everything in the world, but if once things starts picking up, you're a little lost. So it's like there's nothing wrong with wherever you find yourself, but it is something to really respect when you see somebody that can do all those things. John Coltrane, I can listen to Naima, and on the recording he doesn't even take a solo, and then I can listen to Giant Steps on the same album, where it's like he literally broke the system with that song. And like people, you can hear the piano player on that track. He had a hard time keeping if you listen to the track on the solo.
Yeah.
Tommy Flanagan, I think, was playing on that. He has a hard time keeping up with the changes, and John Collins just blazing through him. He was a special talent.
Was John a Long Islander?
He lived in Long Island, but he was from North Carolina, I believe.
He was from North Carolina. Because I remember just recently there's been some news about
his house is still there. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool. So I'm going to listen to John Coltrane just for that reason. It's not something I would normally put on with all the choices we have, but you've inspired me. And I think your 4, what were the 4? Spiritual?
Emotional, physical, intellectual. I mean, that's existing. That's life.
Yeah, but the physical would be the correct me if I'm wrong. It would be the dexterity, and
performance. The physical ability,
true.
but like you on a stage, is this something to watch?
How many great guitar players have you seen who turn their back?
Sure.
The whole show. I mean, some could get away with it.
It's all about intention, If you're doing it intentionally. Bob Dylan, right? Bob Dylan turns back, but he did that on purpose. You know what I mean? And that was something to watch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you're just doing it out of fear or something, then that's a totally different thing. Watching, like performing for people, this is something that's unique to right now. The birth of the bedroom artist because of social media has changed the way I think people look at performing. I've gone to shows of people that I've followed on Instagram, and I'm like, I love what you do on Instagram, and I go watch the show, and I'm like,
oh my God,
you don't know how to do this actually. Like, you know how to play your instrument, but you don't know how to do this. which is hard to really explain what that is. But that's why I'm grateful. Me and my brother spent all our time growing up playing, you know, and then we didn't get hip to all the other stuff, like social media and all that, until later on.
That's the special sauce. That's
we were
what
just
you're
playing.
projecting. That's
Yeah.
that's what I was attracted to. That's
Yeah.
what I'm attracted. You're absolutely right. And you can't practice that. You can't put that.
Playing shows is practicing it.
You
Yeah,
do, oh my God, this is like such a revelation to me.
sure.
It really is, because I'm always trying to figure the secret sauce, but the secret sauce is complicated, but yet
Yeah, it is.
you've
yeah.
identified some of that for sure.
Yeah.
Let me ask you to talk about the push and pull of an audience.
Sure.
Being a guitar player, that could be a strange thing, right? Because if that's cold out there, you don't always put out the best.
Sure.
You should put out the best. That shouldn't mean anything, but it's not authentically
Yeah.
true.
I mean, it's
It's a two-way street. Is where I'm
yeah,
going.
it's tricky because, like, you know, you see those like pictures, memes or something where it's like, you know, a bunch of glasses of water, and it's like consistency is not the same amount every day. It's like, you know, consistency is like giving what you can each day. So some days playing music, it's like trying giving your best is not going to be as good as the show the night before. But I think the ideal, like ideally what I strive for is, if the crowd is giving us nothing, then we're here playing for ourselves, and we lock in with each other, and like that's what it is, you know, whatever. That doesn't always happen, but that has happened, and it's like some of our best moments has happened in that zone, and then naturally you do start to get some people, you know what I mean? But
Wow, that's incredible. So you turn inward to each other, you give your best to each other through the groove, if you would, and then naturally it has to speak to the audience.
to someone, you know what I mean? It's like it's what are you in it for? Like, I think I'm a firm believer in the fact that as much as people want to say like, you know, I do, you know, we do this for the listener, like listener is most important or something. It's like that's actually not true. It's like
true.
I love music for me now. Like it's this relationship between the listener and the performer, and like it is very important, right? But in order for you to enjoy yourself as a listener, I have to be having the best time.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
Are you critical of yourself? A post-show?
yeah. Not negatively,
Yeah.
but like I think accurately. Like I don't want to lie to myself. Like if I play like garbage, I play like garbage. You know. And the opposite, the same is true, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not trying to be self-effacing or something, like, but like, it's like if I felt like I had a great show, it's like, yeah, you had a great show. If I felt like I had a garbage show, it's like, yeah, you had a garbage show. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do better next day.
Do better next time.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Wow, incredible. So let's talk about everything that's going to happen in the next 6 months, because that's a good time period to look
Yeah.
out on. You got your latest single, "Hopeless," out now.
Yeah.
We can see it on all the streaming platforms.
Absolutely.
We can also get it on YouTube if need be. So tell us what's happening over the next 6 months.
So like I said, release "Hopeless." We got 2 or 3 more singles we're releasing. We're coming out with another music video for "Hopeless," and we have some live videos for the singles. Our next single is "Daydreamer," an old song of ours called "Daydreamer" that we re-recorded and putting back out there. And then we have the full album. Mr. No One Part 2 is going to be a full album, and that's going to come out sometime in the summer.
Okay.
We'll probably have a show or something for that. But like, so we got this music rolling now, and hopefully we do. What I would like to do is a full show, and have a special vinyl release of Mr. No One Part 1 and Part 2 together on one vinyl. But we'll see. It's just an idea.
I like that idea.
That's a good idea, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
And check out the place in Brooklyn that I told you about,
Oh, Sultan.
Sultan Room.
Yeah.
It's a great place to actually. That would be a perfect place for you guys at an album release. Oh, by the way, I think you guys fit in well with industry in Huntington.
Sure. Yeah. Love
And
that spot.
It's a good spot. Right?
I love that spot. We had our release show for Mr. No One Part 1 there.
Yep.
And that was
And you had
that was
good
a crazy
crowd.
show.
Yeah, it was a
That's
crazy show,
crazy
great crowd. I
yeah.
could saw the give and take there was exactly where you want it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, next time we'll get all of you together,
Yeah.
and we'll have a great time.
Yeah, man. This was fun.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you on the road.
Yeah, man. See you next time.
Absolutely.